Kevin Dubrosky. Kevin and I met at a conference called Advance Your Reach in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we were both students learning how to book speaking engagements. And at the time, Kevin was quite the public speaker and public speaking coach himself. In fact, he gave me some very sage advice as I was performing on the stage in a speaking competition. And I noticed how Kevin talks. Kevin talks in a way that people listen. He speaks slowly, he speaks deeply, he pauses, and people can't look away even if they try. And Kevin told me about the whale vomit method. And he sent me a copy of his full color $90 book. What the heck kind of book is a $90 book? Well, how about a book on how to really, really increase your prices? Wouldn't it be fitting for that book to be a $90 book? And he says to me, did you know there is a type of whale that eats giant squid in the deep sea? And did you know that giant squid have beaks so sharp they're sharper than razors? So you might ask yourself, how does a whale swallow a giant squid with a razor sharp beak? Well, very carefully is the answer. And what they do is they swallow these giant squids with razor sharp beaks and they cover them with an acidic stomach juice, and then they vomit the still living squid back out into the ocean, covered in acidic whale stomach juice or whale vomit. And slowly that whale vomit kills the squid and devours the razor sharp beak so that the whale can come back and eat that squid. And I'm looking at this guy going, so you're a marine biologist, and why are you telling me all these things? And he says, well, did you know that some of that whale vomit washes up on the shore? And people can be walking along the shore and see a big jelly-like globule of whale vomit. And did you know that this jelly-like ball of whale vomit is worth more than its weight in gold? Because it's sold to perfume houses, because it is a one-of-a-kind suspension material that allows the perfumes to be perfumes. And what if you were the whale vomit of your industry? The very valuable, worth more than your weight in gold. And I said, gee whiz, Kevin Dubrosky, that is a long ass explanation to tell someone how to raise their prices. But you know what? It's unforgettable. I tried and I couldn't forget it. Completely unforgettable. Kevin Dubrosky, the author of The Whale Vomit Method, is here. So Kevin is going to share with us how to increase your prices big time at a zero.
Yeah, so I'm all about simplicity and profitability. And there's really only three ways to make more money. There's a guy named Jay Abraham. He's like a management consultant guru.
I'm sorry, I'm going to pause you, Kevin. Expert speakers who are here live, you're welcome to ask questions at any time. You can unmute and speak. You can chat into the chat box.
Thank you.
So jump right in. I'm going to just pass you the mic and tell us what to do.
So I would like to start by sharing what I consider to be the weirdest idea around pricing that is an excellent place to liberate you from and with. And here it is. The correct price for what you currently have in the market and the correct price for every single product and service in the world is a unicorn. The correct price for your service is a unicorn. And what I mean by that is that it is imaginary. There is no such thing as the correct price for your service. And it's also true of everything. There's no such thing as the correct price for that beautiful rug that I see behind Marlena. There's no such thing as the correct price for the beautiful window that's behind Peggy that was sold to the builder that created that unit. There's so much such thing as the correct price for that red shirt that Larissa has on. The price really depends, doesn't it? And what's crazy about that depending word is that depending is in the eye of the beholder. And what you and I value, somebody else could think is garbage. And what they think is garbage, you and I could highly, highly value. And that is, if you remember anything, like nothing else from this conversation, I want you to remember that. There's no such thing as the right price. There's no such thing as the fair price. There's no such thing as the correct price.
So, Kevin, how do you answer the question, what should I charge?
So what I would like to answer that with is by actually first pointing out the 7 most common pricing mistakes that people like you and me make when we bring our service to the market, whether we're doctors or lawyers or drywallers or speakers or whatever, authors. And these 7 mistakes actually make up an acronym, TIMID AF. So write that down vertically on your page, TIMID AF. TIMIDAF. So the 7 most common pricing mistakes. Number 1, the letter T. Probably you've guessed this, but T stands for time. Is pricing based on time? And Majeed shared a little bit with me about you guys, and I know that one of the challenges that you face as doctors is that you have this idea of charging an hourly rate, and that you're basically selling chunks of your time and determining the price that you give somebody for any kind of consultation based on how much time it takes to convey that expertise or information. So I just want you to know that that is an imaginary, bogus formula that actually has no relevance whatsoever in what you can charge the market. That's just some baggage that you probably picked up from your first job at McDonald's when you were a kid. I mean, I was 13 when I worked at McDonald's. I made $3.80 an hour. And I learned from an early age, if I want to make more money, I work more hours. I'm very old, obviously, because that was a small amount of money. I'm 47, so that was a long time ago, but you get the idea. And most of us start off with jobs where we're paid by the hour. And so that's a programming thing that tends to stay with us. But that's the first mistake. Number 2, internal costs. Internal costs is the letter I, the second letter in this acronym. And by internal costs, I mean the cost that you accrue in your effort to deliver your product or your service to the market. So as a doctor, you might have a clinic cost, you might have, staff that work for you. You might, like in Majeed's case, he has like the expensive version of Zoom, you have cell phones, you have software, all of those things are costs, right? And it's very tempting to go, okay, well, it cost me, $85 to be able to deliver an hour of consultation. So that gets in your head as to what you want to charge your client. Well, that's irrelevant. Again, irrelevant. Let's talk about the M. The M stands for market rates. Now, I know that you're not the only doctor that you're familiar with. Maybe there's even some in your local neighborhood that you're competing against, and you might, or maybe, whatever in your niche. And you might think, well, they charge $250 an hour, or they charge $240 an hour, or they charge $280 an hour. So I gotta kind of be competitive with them. And we let what the competition charges get inside our head. Or as speakers, you might think, well, most guys, they charge $5,000, $8,000. So I'm going to have to charge $5,000 or $8,000 too if I want to get this gig. Not true. Totally in your head. The second I on the acronym TIMID AF is insecurities. Insecurities. And this pops up when we are new-ish in our field. So who is the newest one on the Zoom right now? Let me see, has the least amount of experience of all you guys. Okay, Peggy. So Peggy, it's possible, I'm not saying this is true of you because I've only even seen your face for a few minutes now, but it's possible that you could start to think, well, you know what? I need to get my feet wet. I need to make a name for myself. I need to get some clients under my belt, some testimonials, some case studies, and then I'm going to be able to raise my prices. Does that sound familiar? Can you guys relate to that? Yeah, so again, imaginary, it's in our head. None of that is real. None of that is real. And I have case studies that I could use to illustrate all of these points, that it's not real. But we want to keep this tight. The D in the acronym Timid AF is for desired profit. Desired profit. And what we might do, where that will pop up, is that we tend to kind of flat rate the amount of money, the minimum amount of money we want to make on any particular client. So we might say, you know what, I want to make $500 a day on anything that I do. I want to add 32% on whatever I bill. Again, that's imaginary. That's just an artificial, imaginary, made up thing. The A in the acronym is for assumptions. Assumptions. And when I say assumptions, I'm talking about assumptions about the spending capacity of your ideal client. And especially when we're serving people that we think don't have deep, deep pockets, we can really let that get in our head. And we can think, you know what, these people, they don't drive a Bentley, they have an SUV and they have 2 kids and they're just regular people. How can I charge them? They don't have money for my consultation. So that's imaginary, it's in our head. People can be very creative and very resourceful when it's time to get what they want. And if, just as a reminder, look at how many people that look like they have had the same clothes for 5 years, but they have a brand new iPhone 12 Max Pro, right? Like we find the money for the stuff that we care about. And I actually want to address this to the speaker part of your business as well. So we can make assumptions about the spending capacity, the budget of an event in the same way. We could say, you know what, they only have $3,000 to pay somebody like me. Well, that's not true either. Like if they had a chance to get Barack Obama on that stage, they would find the money, right? Like if he said, you know what, I'll throw you guys a bone, I'll come for only $150K. Normally it's, like $600,000. They would find the money. Like they would do a drive, they would get excited. So assumptions, they mess with us. And lastly, the F in the acronym is fairness. And so that's the greed piece. We start to allow ourselves to think that it's just, it's not fair to be charging people more money than we're currently charging, because we're doing okay. Like we have a beautiful home. Like I can see behind a lot of you, your faces, there's like nice furniture and there's art and there's beautiful windows and there's books and, like you're not suffering. So is it greedy to charge more then? So that also messes with us. Those are the 7 most common pricing mistakes that we make. So we know that there's no such thing as the correct price for anything, because the correct price is a unicorn. We know the 7 most common pricing mistakes that we tend to fall into as service-based professionals. So what does pricing need to be based on? Now, first of all, before I tell you the answer to that question, just show me who falls prey right now to any of those 7. Just drop. Okay, your hands are up. You got 2 hands in some cases. Which one? Like drop it in the chat. Which one are you victimized by, would you say? Or have you fallen into the trap of, just leave a 1-word comment in the chat. Which of those words?
Kevin, you're doing an amazing job. I'm witnessing a master at work, and I want to point out a few things for just everyone to just kind of benefit from. First of all, is the man's voice not easy to listen to? Know what I mean? Has he established the certainty in your mind that he is in fact an expert in pricing? I mean, he's made an acronym. Now, what do we know about Kevin? He's willing to be funny and a little, not too tight with the tie up on the neck, because his acronym's Timid AF, right? It's youth, it's edgy, it's funny. He's got about a 5 to 7 minute mini masterclass around that acronym, right? If he had a 30-second speech, he would say, I've developed the 7 sins. It stands for Timid AF. I can't go into it all right now. That's the 30-second version of it, right? He just gave us the 7-minute version. He did a recap afterwards. So we've covered price is a unicorn. We've covered the 7 mistakes. And now I have a call to action question for you to engage with. Raise your hand. That's mini engagement level 1. let's go a step further and write out what your hand was raised for. So thank you, Kevin. You're doing great. So we got chats. I'll pass it back to you, Kevin.
Thank you for that. So I'm looking at your comments. I see fairness, assumptions, fairness, market rates, assumptions, and time, assumptions and fairness. Look at that. Pretty much everybody's commented on assumptions and fairness. Eh? It's a big thing. The greed piece is a huge thing. So do you want to go deeper into greed, or do you want me to talk about what you truly need to price based on? I'm going to let you guys choose the direction we go for the next few minutes.
Kevin, I think the greed one is good because one thing about all the people here, we all have really big hearts and we really want to help people and we really don't want to hurt people. And a lot of us have taken on the mindset of high prices hurt people. And I want to help. I want to help people. I especially want to help people who maybe even can't afford me. So I'm very conflicted about this raising prices. I don't want to just sell to greedy, rich old people living in their mansions with their caviar.
Gotta hate the caviar lovers, eh? Are any of you guys fans of Tony Robbins? Yeah, he's a good guy. No, not so much. Melanie's like, not so much. Okay, so Melanie, ignore what I'm about to say, but the rest of you, you with me. So Tony seems to be a guy. I mean, I've never met him. I've just like seen him on video and stuff, but he seems to be a guy that genuinely loves people and wants to help the world. And I mean, he's amassed $500 or $600 million of net worth along the way, which is cool. But Tony thinks about what Majeed just said. And Tony thinks, you know what, how do I help somebody with no money? And what does he do? He puts stuff on YouTube. And then he says, okay, well, how do I help somebody that has a little bit of money, but not a lot of money? And he wrote books. And you can spend 20 bucks on Amazon. You can grab a book. I have a book on my shelf from Tony, 1985. That's amazing. It's like 36 years old. So 36 years ago, the guy was amazing already. But that's like a low entry access point to him, right? If you have a little bit more money, you go to his event called UPW. It's like 500 bucks a crack. If that stokes your fire, you go to Date with Destiny. It's like $8,000. If you love that, you sign up for his Platinum Mastermind, which is $80,000 a year. And if you love that, then you hire him for like as a personal coach. And that's like $1.5 million each per year. So Tony has created access to his expertise and his genius at all these different levels. So he doesn't wrestle with, am I a bad person for not helping other people? Because he's figured out how to do that. But what he also recognizes is that for people that have bigger obstacles or more at stake, his intervention in their life can create an exponential windfall for them. And so he's priced his services accordingly. So the point that I want you to take home from this is that anything that you charge over $0 is automatically excluding somebody, right? I actually would like you guys to tell me how much you charge right now. Let's just say per hour right now. Just drop in the chat, just so I'm aware of what you guys are at. Just so that I don't make assumptions about you guys.
And for people who have a program that's not related to time, would you just like them to put the...
Yeah, sure. Even just a price, whatever you have. If it's a program, if it's an hourly rate, just hit me with some numbers here so I can speak to you guys a little bit more specifically.
Oh,
Don't be shy.
I also want to point out how Kevin calls people's names specifically. Larissa with the red sweater, Peggy with the window, Marlena with the carpet in the back, and now we're all leaning a little bit more. Kevin's talking about me and my carpet in the back. That's good.
200, yeah, so 7,000. So okay, 4,700. So let's see. Who doesn't mind? Okay, so the people that just gave me prices, who wouldn't mind being a little bit of a guinea pig for the next 2 minutes? Okay. So I saw your hand first, Marlena. Is it Marlena? Okay, so could you unmute yourself? I just want to do a little mini hot seat with you here.
Yeah, Marlena.
Marlena. Okay, so 1,500 for 6 sessions, 2 hours each. So 1,500 for 12 hours, right?
Yes.
Okay, so somebody came along and said, you know what, Marlena, you're amazing. I need you. My life is a mess. Like, only one problem. I only got 1,200 bucks. Would you take them on?
Not now.
Like not after the last 20 minutes or not lately?
I did the first couple weeks I started, I gave discounts to my first few clients, but I don't do that now. I allow payments.
Like payment plan kind of thing?
in a payment
Yes.
plan. Hmm.
Do you feel bad saying no to people that can't afford you?
No,
No.
I don't actually.
Right. And let me just see what you wrote. You wrote fairness as one of your issues when it comes to pricing. So it's interesting because you right away feel like you're being fair charging 1,500, but you don't necessarily feel like it would be fair to charge more than 1,500 for those 6 sessions. Is that true?
Not significantly more. I've thought about raising
Not
my prices a little.
a little, right? Okay, thank you for that. So I love that you right away pushed back at me and said, no, actually, I wouldn't take the person. I wouldn't help them. And you don't feel bad for saying that. So you can mute yourself again. I'll let you off the hook for that. But the point is that if anything we charge above zero is automatically disqualifying the people that need us and would love us and that wish they could be part of, absorb our genius. Just like Majeed's group. You guys are in Majeed's group. This is not a free group. There's for every one of you that's part of his group, there's probably 1,000 that would like to be part of his group, but that simply haven't made the investment, haven't made the decision to do that. And as a side note, when it comes to pricing, so whenever I see a number like 1,500, 7,000, 49.99, I know that you also made that number up. You completely made the number up. So whatever there's a round number, 250, 5,000, 20,000 even, 80,000. I know that number is made up because that's just not the way that I'm going to teach you in a moment pricing actually works. Okay, so you guys, we've talked a little bit about greed and how anything above zero in the mind of somebody could be perceived as unfair, and that the real issue behind all of it is our own belief in what it is that we're bringing to the table. So another way of saying that is that the first sale has to be to ourselves. You will never be able to charge more than 1,500 for 6 sessions until you believe in your heart of hearts that you're the dumbest person in the world for only charging them 4,000 for those 6 sessions. That's the place we need to get to, where we are so connected to the impact that we're bringing into the world and it's the life of your client that you feel like dumb and incredibly generous for offering it for only what you're offering. I put together, so a few months ago, I was talking to a hedge fund guy, and they wanted some help with their fund to get it from like $500 million to like $6 billion. And I sent them a $26 million proposal, an offer to work with them. My fees were going to be $26 million. I did not get the job, but I had no qualms putting that $26 million down on paper. And at the end of it, I felt generous in only asking for $26 million based on what they were going to get in return. Does that make sense? So that's the secret for you guys too, is to get to a place where you're so connected to the value that you are delivering to the market that you feel generous only charging them a premium. Even Majeed, I'm sure he feels incredibly generous charging you guys what he charges right now to be in his program. And my apologies in advance, his pricing is probably going to go up after this and after the conversations that me and him are going to have in the near future as well. So I apologize, but it's in your best interest. It's in your best interest. Yes.
Kevin, the first time I charged someone $50,000, I knew she was making millions. So which one of the 7 is that? That's assumption. I assumed that she could afford it. And fairness too. And then I charged 6 figures for people, but they all used a grant to pay their 6 figures. So I said, it's okay because there's a grant. That's another one of the fairness things, right? I'm curious, what's the biggest fee you've ever charged?
$108,000.
What was it for?
Yeah, for consulting, for coaching.
Good.
But I recently I secured a client that's a combination of fee plus a performance bonus. That's about $400K. But there's a performance piece there. So I've got skin in the game, which is really important when we work with people to be aligned. Yeah.
Cool.
And I have another client actually that 6 weeks ago, he's been a consultant for about 3 years, and he had a coaching opportunity. Somebody kind of was curious about the work that he did, and he came to me for some help. and I helped him evaluate the opportunity, put together the package, have the strategy session in an effective way, follow up, create an incredible proposal. And he landed a $156,000 USD coaching client with an $800,000 performance kicker on the back end. So his first ever coaching client, almost $1 million in compensation.
Amazing.
Which is pretty, yeah. So that's
Okay, I'm not sure if I would speak for everyone, but I can speak for myself when I say, when I build a program and I price it, I might say to myself, I'd love to charge 25,000 for this, but I'm afraid I won't make enough sales or any sales. So I'm going to charge instead 15,000 because I know that's a killer deal. 25, I think it's fair. 15, I'm almost buying it because it feels like it's on sale. And so my answer to the question, why don't I just raise my prices, is I'm afraid that I won't make the sale.
Of course, right? That's the biggest obstacle. We think they're not going to go for it. They're not going to get out the credit card and actually give us the money.
Yeah.
They're going to go next door to the other guy instead, the other woman instead.
So how do I know when too high is maybe too high? And again, it kind of comes back to what do I price my program at?
So let me ask you this. If I had a crisp $100 bill in my hand and I offered it to you for $50 and it was like verified to be an authentic, real deal, like actual $100 bill, would you do that transaction with me?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely. So if you guys are in the language of ROI, right? Return on investment, that's an ROI of 2 to 1. You spend 50.
We're not selling $100 bills, Kevin.
Well, you are, because you're selling $100 worth of value or $100,000 worth of value. Now, the challenge with health practitioners is that you sell something that could feel squishy or it could feel qualitative, not quantitative. Like a guy like Majeed can come along and say, hey, I can help you guys make an extra $100,000. That's easily quantified, right? Then you'll happily pay him a fraction of that to get that result. But for you guys, you might think, it's not like when they come to see me, they're going to make an extra $8,000.
Yeah. So how much is it worth to quit smoking? That's one of the outcomes that we sell here. How much is it worth to reduce stress? How much is it worth to lose 25 pounds?
Right. Okay, so I want to share with you guys a little framework that I use for qualitative scenarios like this. I call it the deathbed prescription. Write that down, deathbed prescription. And here's how it works. I want you to imagine that you are on your deathbed and you have an hour left to live. And somebody comes up to you and says, oh my goodness, I'm so sad that you only have an hour left because I need the transformation that you have become legendary for providing the world with. Like, I wish I had time to work with you, but I need that exact transformation that you provide. But you can't help them because you're gone in an hour and you don't have any kind of program left behind. Like you dropped the ball, you don't have anything you can give them. All you can do is write them a prescription to guarantee the outcome that they've come to you for. So to guarantee that outcome that right now you're legendary for delivering to the market, what would they have to spend in other places to recreate it? Who would they have to hire? What books would they have to read? What events would they have to attend? What coaches and consultants would need to be engaged? And again, you want to guarantee it, right? It's out of your hands. So like they need you to guarantee that they're going to get this result without you. And just start to create a very vivid, real life prescription for them. If they needed to absolutely get the result that you are promising them without you. And what you're going to find is that there's an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of time that they're going to have to invest. And at the end of that calculation, you're going to realize, oh my goodness, they're going to have to read 11 books. And they're going to have to go to this event. And they're going to have to fly over there. And they're going to have to hire this person. And it's going to take 7 months. And it's going to cost, $86,000. Or they can come to me for 6 sessions. And we're going to do it. And it's just 2 hours per session. And at the end of a month and a half, they're going to get the result. So you provide acceleration. By the way, acceleration alone is worth more money. If everything else was the same, if you could only do it faster, that's worth more money as well. But you're going to find that there's this incredibly expensive amount of time, energy, and money that they're going to need to invest. So I recommend that. And that's something that we go into more depth in inside Pricing School, which is my program. But that's the quick answer. How does that land for you guys? Does that sound crazy? Does that sound like it would help?
That feels right on.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, and I think that, and every time we do that, and I know that I just said it in like 4 or 5 minutes, but if you actually carve out 20 or 30 minutes in the next few days to actually do that exercise, and again, I want to emphasize the word guarantee. And I know that if you're in Majeed's community, I know it's only because you are a world-class health practitioner and that you do take tremendous pride in the work that you do and you genuinely love people. So I know you're standing behind your work already. I know that you do deliver real world results and you're not selling snake oil. You're not trying to scam people. I know that's not true of you. So because of that, think of the word guarantee, right? If they had to get the result, what would they actually have to spend and how much time would it take? That's going to liberate you immediately. Yeah, I won't be surprised, Marlena, if at the end of that little calculation, 2 days from now, you send me a message or Majeed sends me a message and now you're charging like $3,700 for those sessions. And you're going to feel like Santa Claus, only charging $3,700 because of the transformation you deliver. And that's true of the rest of you too. Melanie, Larissa, Alla, Peggy, Juliana,
Kevin, I'm going to wrap us up here on our recording. And
Yeah.
I'd first like to invite someone, would someone please unmute themselves and explain to the group, recap for us, what is the deathbed prescription?
The deathbed prescription is where somebody comes to you desperate to know what you know in your last hour of life. And since you can't do the transformation for them, you have to send them on their way to research and look up the information that you've taken your life's work to learn. So basically, they have to read all the books you've read, study all the programs you've studied, work with mentors, and try all these programs out, whether it's lifestyle or diet or whatever you prescribe, for several months before they find the right fit for them, because they have to relearn everything you've learned.
There you go. Did she get it, Kevin?
Okay. Very close, very close. So the focus is not for them to learn what you've learned, but the focus is for them to get the outcome that they have come to you for, right? So to get the outcome they've come to you for, I guess becoming you would be one option, have fun for the next 25 years and just become me, or take yourself out of the equation. Who else could they go to? Where else could they look? What else could they invest in to recreate the same outcome for themselves? And I apologize for not making that more clear when I explained it. But that's the key, is to focus on the outcome that they're coming to you and wanting to exchange their money for. What would they have to spend? Where would they have to go? How long would it take to go otherwise?
Okay, Kevin, would you please tell us about your proven profit challenge that you're doing now? And you mentioned the Profit School. Tell us a little bit about those for people who'd like to know more and where they can reach you.
Yeah, so I have an event, my first ever virtual event, actually. It's coming up on May 15th. It is a half-day event. And if you're hearing this after May 15th, it's a recurring event. It's going to happen every couple of months or so. But it's called the Proven Profit Intensive, where we actually show you behind 9 real-life case studies of service-based entrepreneurs who, during COVID, have raised their prices from 73% to 900% without building a better team, bigger team, without working more, and without feeling like a greedy bastard. And we're going to dive in at that event into all of the mechanics that you need to understand, all of the pricing psychology, all of the value engineering, all of the value innovation at your fingertips for you to be able to replicate that in your own service-based business. And then at that event, we're going to talk, for those who come, I'm going to give you a chance to sign up for and learn about Pricing School, which is a 3-week intensive where actually for those 3 weeks, we raise your prices 100% guaranteed within a 21-day period. And we get you a sale at that new 100% higher rate within those 3 weeks. So it's a wild acceleration. So at the proven profit intensive, you'll get the mechanics, and then if you want to like make it happen fast, then for the 3 weeks after, we're actually going to make that happen for you. And like I said, 100%, even to me, it seems like it's just kind of a silly little thing, but it'll give you enough confidence. And it might not sound silly right now, because maybe you're used to raising your prices 8% or 12%. So, I mean, I had a coach last year, one of my clients, she raised her prices 900% like this.
Yes.
Like this.
And
imagine if you, starting next week, charge 900% more money than what you currently charge. And you were working more, and you didn't have a bigger team. And also, I just want to add this one last thing, Majeed. Think of what that would unlock for you. Think of all of the potential that would allow you to focus on those clients that were giving you, that level of investment. That would require that you up-level yourself, wouldn't it? And you would actually show up as the fullest iteration of all of your magic. And it would cause even a more profound and rapid transformation for your client. So,
and Kevin, I'm a big fan of doing world-class work for world-class people on a boutique scale. That's how I kind of run my business.
Yes,
and one thing I think about when increasing prices is if you increase your price by 100%, how much are you increasing your profits by?
Exponential.
Exactly. So let's say you have a $1,000 program, and all of your costs, advertising, overhead, commissions, makes your profit on that $1,000. Let's just call it $200 or $300 or $500. Okay. Let's say you got a decent profit margin, $500.
Yeah.
So if you're making a $500 profit on a $1,000 price, what happens to your profit when you double the price? You actually triple the profit.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
Okay, beautiful. Right. So Kevin Dubrosky, the legend, author of The Whale Vomit Method, Volume 2. So we're going to wrap up there. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you, Kevin Dubrosky, and thank you for all the brilliant involvement and questions from the experts.
Do you want to give the link to your event?
Smart.
So Majeed's going to give you guys a link. It'll be below this video.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Expert Speaker Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating so that more people can discover the Expert Speaker Podcast and so more people can be empowered to share their message. Be sure to go to www.expertspeaker.com and take the masterclass to learn how to grow your business and make money speaking. It's totally free and will change your business. If you're ready to work with Expert Speaker, you can apply. Just go to expertspeaker.com/apply, and someone from our team will be in touch with you to help you grow your business with public speaking. That's expertspeaker.com/apply. We'll see you in the next episode.